Howdy, folks. This is Fuzzy Road to Health, and I'm Fuzzy D, aka David. So today I've got the pleasure to interview Alia Wells, and she is a carnivore who has found some healing through this way of life, and she's going to tell us all about it.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. This is very nice. First, I want to say I love Canadians. They're like so nice, except the French. No, I'm just joking. I have a very good friend from Montreal, and we love each other very much. And she's very funny and crazy. No, but seriously, I just wanted to say that I love Canadians. Every Canadian I've ever met is like super nice. So thank you for showing me your Canadian hospitality and having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. So what brought me to Carnivore was I had been attempting for like many years to do keto. So let's back up a little bit. In my growing up, I was either chubby or never obese, either chubby or like a normal weight. I was a heavy smoker for many years. At one point, in my 20s, when I got to my heaviest, I think I was like 175. And then I went on a keto diet without realizing that's really what I was doing, or something very low carb, and I lost a bunch of weight. And then in that time period, I wasn't really like worried about how I felt, even though I had a bunch of back pain. I had all sorts of issues, but I was too young to realize that it was me doing it to myself. I wasn't smart enough to know that it was me doing it to myself. It was just like, I'm getting old. I'm 27 years old. You know what I mean? This is what happens when you get old, the back pain and all these various issues. So I had gotten down to like, this is 27, 28. I gotten down to like 135 pounds. I look very skinny at 135 pounds, like extremely. So then I'm like, oh, I'm done with my diet. Time to eat the chips again. So like my set point was like 150-ish. Now let's move to my 30s. I'm a smoker from like 18 years old until 34 when I met the man that was going to be my husband, and was also the father of my first and second baby, and is my husband right now. And I quit smoking, and once I found out I was pregnant, I quit smoking. I gained 80 pounds in that pregnancy. When you're a smoker, there's some correlation here. When you're a smoker, you're constantly putting your hand to your mouth in a different way. And smoking also, it's terrible. Don't smoke. It's a waste of money, and it's very unhealthy. So I replaced the hand to mouth movement with the excuse of being pregnant. I was just like grazing all day long. Like, oh, I can eat. Or not when I was working, but I'm like, oh, I'm home. I'm watching some Downton Abbey. I'm like eating whatever I can find in the fridge, right? It's going to come off.
I can so relate to that. I was like, I used to smoke 3.5, 4 packs a day for a lot of years. Started smoking when I was like 15. Yeah, it was.
Oh man. How many years did you smoke for?
Let me see. I quit smoking about 34 years ago.
Oh wow! About the time you stopped caffeine.
Yeah, I stopped caffeine about 3 years after I quit smoking. So yeah.
Nice. So where was I? Oh, quit smoking. Am pregnant. Gained 80 pounds. Had a traumatic birth, like labor experience, unfortunately. And then shortly after that, my thyroid had been functioning, but shortly after the gaining the weight and having the traumatic birth experience, I found out that I have something wrong with my thyroid. And so basically it was very hard to lose weight after that if you have a thyroid issue. I'm going to get some more tests done recommended by Dr. Chafee to see if it's something else. I will say that I hardly took my meds for my thyroid because I knew that if I took the meds, in my mind, don't listen to me, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just telling you the decisions I've made in my life. Taking the thyroid medication could mess up with your body's ability to, like, it skips your thyroid basically. So So right on the heels of Jacob being born, my son, he's almost 8. 11 months later, 12 months later, I was pregnant with baby number 2. So
That's not much of a break.
no, it wasn't much of a break. With baby number 1, I think I got pregnant around 150, 160 pounds maybe, and then I gained 80. And I didn't really lose any. I actually just gained more weight afterwards. So I think with baby number 2, I was probably pregnant at 225 pounds or 220 pounds. So I was very big. I'm 5'4", so that's like very round for a short little woman, right? During that pregnancy, I couldn't really eat and I lost 40 pounds. And that was like, yay! The doctors were so happy that I was losing weight during this pregnancy. Like no one had a problem with it. But I had a problem eating, and that's why I lost the weight. Baby came out fine. She's perfect. She's 6 now. That birth experience wasn't traumatic. After she was born, I was starving. I remember getting back from the hospital with her, and I think I ate an extra large Domino's pizza myself.
Oh my.
I could eat like a whole fried chicken. So that's my ability to eat, by the way. I can eat an entire pizza. I can eat an entire fried chicken. So the weight slowly started to come back on that I had lost during that pregnancy with my daughter. So then I had heard of Dr. Berg. People recommended it. So I was trying Dr. Berg. I was trying keto for on and off for like 6 years. Sometimes I would really try to do the salads because he recommends like 10 cups of salad. And during this 6-year period was probably the time in my life that I ate the most vegetables in my whole life, because trying to do keto, and I was eating like, some people in this side of my family have mentioned that red meat's bad. So I wasn't really eating a lot of red meat, even though I had eaten a zillion hamburgers in my entire life. And my favorite food is carne asada tacos. And by the way, before leading up to me being pregnant, which was like super easy, I just ate hamburgers every day. Like hamburgers was my favorite food, even though it has the bad stuff added to it, like the bun and all that stuff. And I want to bring this up because I'll talk a little bit later about menstrual issues, which resolved on carnivore, but fertility seems to be a problem for people these days. And there's all this plant-based, being pushed to be plant-based. I was a hamburger addict and I got pregnant like that. People make a joke that I say, ask Alia how babies are born. She'll say, eat a lot of hamburgers, not like the birds and bees, but just eat a lot of hamburgers. But my point there is that it was never hard for me to get pregnant. It was like, I'd think about it. We talk about it. Let's do it. And me and my husband have talked about it many times since then. And it's always like, no more babies. But if we said yes, I would be pregnant within a month. Anyways, so back to my daughter. So after she was born, for 6 years, I'm trying keto. I'm trying to lose weight. It's really just not going anywhere. And more gut issues were turning on, more and more problems. I would have diarrhea all the time. And I assumed it was because I lived in South America and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. And so, because you're in South America, your gut's going to be weird. Well, it should have resolved after 6 years. It shouldn't have kept going, And like I was saying, I didn't eat a lot of beef as much as I did prior. I was eating chicken, like chicken breast. Like we were having beef, but it was just not as much. And then I wouldn't eat pork because every experience I had with pork, I'd feel very nauseated. So since then I can eat pork here. But so basically my keto was like salads and chicken. No wonder I didn't succeed at keto. You can't live off of salads and dry chicken breast, or like fish, like tilapia, which isn't very fat. So I was just doing it all wrong. So I like to say that I was doing keto, but really I wasn't. I was doing something else. I was probably doing like low calorie, and no wonder low calorie, not good food. No wonder I couldn't make it. So my attempt to do keto went on for 6 years. And then this time I'm still studying Dr. Berg. And about a year and a half ago, while continuously watching Dr. Berg videos, YouTube started showing me Ken Berry. And I'm like, I'm not going to listen to anybody else because I don't want to get confused. I'm following this one person. That was like my stable date. I'm like, just follow one person and don't get confused because there's so many different opinions on the internet. So after several times of Ken Berry being shown on my YouTube screen, I finally clicked it. But I will say that I had watched it before this. I watched an interview that Dr. Berg did with two different carnivores, actually. He interviewed two different carnivores. And so that got me interested because one, I don't really remember. But the other guy, one, he lives in Ecuador. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. An American living in Ecuador. I'm an American living in Colombia. But he started talking about all these back issues and like pain and inflammation that went away just by eating meat. I'm like, that's interesting because I have all this inflammation. So it still took me. So I saw those, and I think that prepared me then when I finally clicked on a Ken Berry video. Oh, wow, this is this carnivore thing. So then I went still some months without trying it, and I did more research. I was just taking a long time myself. And then I was like, okay, well, it's Christmas. Oh, then I tried Carnivore, and then I just way overdid it on the cheese. So then it was Christmas. This was like Christmas 2022. Because I've been doing this since March 2023. So finally in March 2023, I'm like, that's it. Game over. I got to do this. You know, Christmas, January, February. I got to do this. I feel terrible. I really came to it, I do say, because of gut issues, but that was like maybe like this like little thought in the back of my mind was really, I was sick of being so fat. I was so sick of being fat. It was more out of vanity that I started Carnivore. But I came soon to realize that there's so many other benefits that I had no idea. When I was my biggest and when I was so overweight, I had this issue with food that I created, like went from smoking, my addiction of smoking, to my addiction of eating. And like, I would look at myself in a reflection or in a mirror, and I would kind of be really upset with how I looked. But then I would want to go, this is a true story. One day I was out with my kids and I saw my reflection in a mirror or in a window. I was really upset. And then we went to my favorite place, like coffee place, where I had this delicious cheesecake. And my husband mentioned, like, I thought you wanted to lose some weight, not pushing me, not being negative about me and my weight. He could care less, but just for me. And I think I started crying because I'm like, I want to eat the cheesecake, but I hate how I look. But I eat the cheesecake and I feel better for a few minutes. Do you understand that crazy relationship with food?
Oh, absolutely.
So I was just saying, like, being on Carnivore, immediately I lost 12 pounds in like 2 weeks. I'm like, this is crazy. I haven't been able to do this in a long time. I haven't been able to like successfully lose weight, but it like healed my crazy food addiction that I had developed. Not saying that I'm perfect 100% of the time, but I don't feel like I have to go. I could literally go, if I made popcorn right now, I could just down 3 buckets of popcorn. Like, but being on this way of eating has helped me realize, like, help me get control over that. Do you understand? And so that's helped me a lot, because back to the story of me crying about cheesecake and being so upset with how I looked, I thought it was because I was fat that made me feel that bad. Does that make sense? But really, it was all of this stress from eating carbs and sugar that like triggered things in my mind, because I was so malnourished from just not eating correctly. And on top of that, I hadn't been sleeping very well for many years. And I didn't realize also, back to carnivore diet specifically, that the carbohydrates that I was eating was messing with my sleep. It could have been, and all the gut issues. And I attribute the gut issues to vegetables. If people can eat vegetables, I'm totally jealous, because I do love a good salad. It doesn't love me. The salads don't love me. Okay. I didn't realize gut issues. I attribute that to vegetables. Sleep issues, I attribute that. I'm literally drinking coffee right now. I could go to sleep. If I eat popcorn, my sleep is messed up. So it's like carbohydrates and sugar messed up my sleep. Vegetables messed up my gut. Probably the carbohydrates messed up my gut also. And being on Carnivore for literally days, so many issues resolved. My sleep was resolved very fast. I finally started sleeping normally again. I can sleep so good now. I sleep like a baby. I don't know what's going to happen once I give up coffee. You might never wake me up again. I did lose weight. I think I want to say, so when I started Carnivore, I was actually 209.8 pounds. And as of today, I was like, I'm only 25 pounds down. And I actually consider that like the least important thing for me. Within a couple weeks, I noticed, oh my God, I'm so much happier than I'd been in years. And I felt finally like myself again. I was missing myself. I hope this makes sense. Like, I know myself. I remember myself as a happy, 20-year-old, teenager, child. And then at some point, I just got very pessimistic about myself and about life. And I don't want to seem like Debbie the Downer, because it wasn't all bad, but sometimes I would just have more negativity than positivity. And then within a couple weeks, I was like, wow, I feel happier. I have less anxiety. I'm not spending needless time worrying about stuff that doesn't, it's like all these thoughts and worries that like can run through a person's mind that just takes up mind space. All of these things just started, just like so fast went away. And I'm like, oh, wow, I had no idea that it was the food that was creating these negative feelings in my mind and in my body. Because like I said, I've only lost 24, 25 pounds. Sometimes I get up to like 30. But that's like the least important because my quality of life just completely changed. And so, yeah, I don't know that's basically the story. I have other things that resolved, but the best was just feeling better, just feeling physically and mentally better, and just feeling like myself again. And feeling like a happy, cheerful person again. Like I hated the way I looked so much that I started a YouTube channel. Look, I love credit cards. And I wanted to do a YouTube channel about credit cards and finance. And like 3 videos in, I'm like, I don't like how I look. And I just came up with all these excuses. I don't look much different. Like myself, my own opinion of myself came back. Do you get what I'm saying? Like things improve and your quality of life just improves when you stop poisoning yourself. If you can eat vegetables, great, like I said earlier, but you cannot eat the seed oils, the refined carbohydrates, the sugar. This is like the deadly trio that will slowly but surely kill you, mentally first before your body goes. You're going to feel terrible. And if you get those out of there, you're going to start feeling big differences, in your life.
Yeah. And the mental health is a big one. And I was so shocked with that with myself. Cause I was at 19, I was diagnosed with bipolar.
Oh, wow. And they had that when you were 19?
Well, yeah, they didn't call it that actually.
Oh, okay. What did they call it?
Back then it was called manic depressive.
Oh, okay. All right. I've heard that term before.
and then they renamed it. I don't know if it was like a political correctness thing or how that came about. But yeah, it got renamed when I was in my mid 30s or early 40s maybe.
So that was like 2 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, I wish. I turned 58 here in a couple of months. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm almost exactly the same age as Sean Baker.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, give it another year and you'll be lifting weights like he will. He does.
Yeah, and I noticed about 4 months on Carnivore, my symptoms started lessening. And like I hadn't used medication for years because I didn't like what else the medications did to me. So yeah, I hadn't used medications for like 20 years or more, but I noticed the symptoms started lessening. And then all of a sudden one day I realized I had about 6 months in, I realized, hey, I haven't had an episode in a long time.
Aww.
And haven't had an episode since. So I've been completely symptom free for about a year now from the bipolar. Yeah. So
that's awesome. I love that.
And the amount of mental illnesses that can be healed with either a strict keto or carnivore diet is pretty amazing. Even serious ones like schizophrenia and multiple personality disorder and stuff like that. So.
Sure, yeah. I saw some interviews about that. And honestly, I wouldn't say like I don't know, if I went to a doctor, a psychiatrist, they might have given me a mental disorder. They gave me one. But yeah, I understand. I think, I want to bring up, after you have children, your body changes completely. Like the female body changes. And if you're not eating correctly, so first, pregnancy can be very hard. And maybe because I had my babies later. My mom had 4 kids in 4 years in her early 20s. Oh my goodness. But crazy lady. Love her to death. No, pregnancy number 1. It wasn't pregnancy number 2 is very, very hard for me. Number 1, I just got very fat. I was tired all the time, probably because I was eating the wrong foods in addition to growing a human body inside of my body. But I'm pregnant, and then I'm nursing, and then I'm pregnant again, and then I'm nursing for 3 years with a night owl. So when your body is going to take all of your nutrients that you need and give them to the baby's body to make the body. And then when you're nursing, it takes all the best stuff out of your body. So to make the perfect food for the baby. So, or small child, 3.5 years is kind of a long time. By the way, breast milk is the perfect food. It's the perfect human food. It's the best human food that's what babies need to start on. But so I think doing all that without eating correctly, and then my daughter is a night owl, and I hardly slept for many years. And then my own eating habits disturbing my sleep. All those things, you're so deprived of nutrients and you're so malnourished, and then it's really going to affect your mind. It's really going to affect your mind. And if you're also female and your cycle is off, that it's going to affect you very bad. So I just remember also for years, like crying at a drop of a hat. And that's when I was nursing and I didn't have a menstrual cycle. I'm sorry that I'm talking about this if this bothers you, but if you
No, not at all.
Okay. When you're nursing, I didn't have a menstrual cycle for years. I felt actually crazy, and I wasn't eating right, and I wasn't sleeping, and I would cry all the time. And maybe some people want to call that baby blues and put you on medication for that. And really, it's just your hormonal cycle is off. It's going to throw everything off. And again, if you are not eating correctly, like a proper human diet, and you're not sleeping, you're going to feel crazy. And you're really, just FYI, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're just, your body can't deal with all the stress in life when you're not giving it the right fuel. Do you get what I'm saying? You have to give it the right fuel. Cars break down when you give it the wrong fuel, when you don't oil it, when you don't give it the oil, when you don't and your body will break down also, and it will affect your mind. So I just want to say that, like, I had years of menstrual issues. Actually, this is a long story going back to the age of 14 of, I believe I had endometriosis. It's a terrible, terrible thing for a woman to experience because it's just like crazy painful menstrual cycles. And I had babies that changed, but still the no menstrual cycle, I was happy when I got it back because I felt normal again. So then finally, years later, getting onto the carnivore diet, I was like, oh my God, I finally feel normal again. I finally feel like before I had trashed my body by having babies. I love my children. I love being pregnant. I would actually do it again. I would be blessed to have another child. I wouldn't care. I'm 40. I'll be 41. Like, that's not the problem, but you got to do the right things with your body, and you got to care for your body so you care for yourself. Does that make sense? I'm a true believer that you are not a body, that you have a body. It's a vehicle. And if you don't treat your vehicle correctly, it's going to break down on you, and it's going to affect you. The person inside, it's going to affect you if you don't take care of your car, if you don't take care of your body. It might break when you're driving it down the road.
So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When you started really studying carnivore and finding out about all the way we've been misled about food and all the corruption in science and everything, how did that make you feel? How did you feel about that? Did you spend some time being angry?
I don't think I spent any time being angry because I was too happy with how I felt. But I do, I don't want to name specifics, but there's a person I love in my life who was vegan for a while. All these terrible body problems started after she was convinced to be vegan. And then she went vegetarian, and now she's eating like eggs and fish again. So I'm happy about that. But terrible body issues that came about afterwards, after being vegan. And, another person, when I was pregnant, there was a lot of people pushing veganism, right? Around me. And someone was like, you should really look into being vegan. I'm like, are you kidding me? All I want to eat is hamburgers right now. Like, maybe just talk to me after I have my baby. They never talked to me again. But I don't think those people are evil. I think that they were convinced by evil people and they're dupes. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they were I don't want to say brainwashed, but like convinced and made to feel bad and convinced that they have to eat a certain way. and it has disastrous results, disastrous health results. And it very much upsets me what happens to this person in my life afterwards. Luckily, that same person doesn't care how any person eats. That's just for them. It was like spiritually, I will never eat a cow. Okay, good. At least you're eating fish. At least you're eating salmon and eggs again and cheese. Like, and you can still eat your vegetables. But during that whole time period, I'm like, oh no, all these terrible things are happening. Like, they have now affected will now affect the rest of her life. Does that make sense? Like, it's set in stone. And maybe if that person went carnivore, it would switch. It would switch it up a little bit. Maybe we could start reversing those body problems. But at least this is a healthier way. So, yeah, no. I have like a very annoying story. Actually, I'm just going to vent a little bit. A friend of mine.
Go right ahead.
a friend of mine bought me like 4 prepared meals, like 4 big prepared meals for as a gift after I had my baby, to help me after I had my baby, so I didn't have to cook. And so the cook that they hired, he's like, "What sort of food do you need?" Like, and I'm like, "Hamburgers. I love hamburgers. Make me hamburgers. Like meat. I like meat." Somebody else convinced that person that my friend paid for to make me only vegan meals.
Oh boy.
To help me recover from my C-section. I mean, it was yummy. It was yummy. I didn't have a problem with it. But looking back, I'm like, actually, that was not your choice, not your responsibility, not your thing. Wasn't even your gift. It wasn't my friend who paid the money. She didn't tell him to make me vegan food. It was somebody totally different. So anyways, just a little venting is fine. It tasted good. Whatever. I did not go vegan after that. I ate the food because when you're like a new mom, you just want to eat food, whatever's available. But so my point is, there were some people in my space at that time that were eating that way. And I'm more angry at that. I'm more angry that people were trying to convince me to eat in a certain way that's actually detrimental because of ideals. And maybe they felt it was like good or whatever, or they felt it was good for their bodies, but it was more like an ideal versus what's actually going to help somebody, what's going to help them feel better. And I don't think everybody needs to be a carnivore. And I will say this repeatedly, but you do need to eat healthily. And it does consist of animal products. You can't get around it. I heard a story, I don't know if it's true, that 15% of the population can thrive on veganism. 15%. I don't know if that's true, but that means, if that is true, 85% of the population of planet Earth actually has to eat animal products to be healthy and survive.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not one of the 15.
I know one person who's been able to stay healthy as a vegan for like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
But everyone else I know that tried vegan got sick and wound up having to either go keto or carnivore.
It's crazy. And maybe this is true. Maybe there's 15% of the population that can eat healthily a vegan diet without physical ramifications afterwards. But no, I remember, oh my God, literally when I'm pregnant, all these people are like, my dad was trying to convince me also, like, you should go. He's not vegan, by the way, but I think he was for like a little period of time. And then I think within 2 weeks, we were eating cheeseburgers again at his favorite burger place. But he's like, no, there's all this protein and spinach and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't, like, I wasn't so much of a critical thinker then as I am now, I guess, on the subject of food. Do you get what I'm saying? So I was just like, it doesn't really, okay, thanks for telling me, but it doesn't really make sense. And I'm going to continue to eat my cheeseburger. So it just didn't make sense to me.
Well, I find it kind of, not to put too fine a point on it, but I find it kind of disingenuous that, there's a vegan, a lot of vegans are really militant about it. And they're telling us how bad it is to eat meat, yet they spend a lot of energy trying to make some of their dishes look, taste, and feel like meat. Okay,
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture?
Yeah, exactly. At least all of my vegan dishes, nothing was trying to be meat. It was all trying to be like beans and stuff like that. So, I mean, like I said, I met one vegan actually last year at my sister's Thanksgiving dinner, and I should follow up with him. And he's like, I'm vegan because meat makes me feel bad, but you guys can eat what you want. And I'm like, oh wow, a normal human being. like he's a human being, not a vegan. I mean, how do I say that? Like he doesn't identify as a vegan. He's just a person that happens to eat that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I talk about the carnivore diet. I follow the carnivore diet because it helps me, but I'm not like, that's not how I identify. I'm a mom. I work. I'm more identify as a YouTuber than a carnivore. And I'm like, eat how you want, but please stop eating the garbage. Please stop eating the ultra processed foods.
Yeah. Yeah. I know when I first started carnivore, like about the first 4 months, I got kind of militant about it. I figured the whole world should be carnivore. I became a carnivore evangelist, and
The Church of Steak.
Didn't endear me to a lot of people, but
Sure.
over time I realized that carnivore really isn't for everyone. But for those of us that have some specific health issues that only respond to carnivore,
right?
That's the way it's got to be for us. And there's lots of people out there that if they would just give up. I think I can't remember if it was I think it was Dr. Baker, or maybe it was Dr. Barry. One of them said that if all the sick people in the world would just give up sugar and seed oils and ultra processed foods, 80% of the world's diseases would go away.
That's crazy.
And I believe that. I mean, I've seen so many stories. I've talked to so many people. And I mean, that was really reinforced at KetoCon, Hack Your Health. They changed the name on me, so it messed me up. But that was an incredible conference, and got to talk to a lot of people there and hear a lot of incredible stories. And it all comes down to the same thing. When they gave up, whether it was keto or carnivore, when they gave up all this garbage food, they got better. Their lives changed.
Right.
And,
yeah.
I mean, a little bit about my story, and the changes in my life were pretty significant.
Wow.
I bedridden for 10 years with autoimmune disease and other health issues. And, I was no longer bedridden when I started carnivore, but I had been keto for several years. And,
I think keto is the gateway drug to carnivore.
Well, the only reason I went carnivore is because my weight loss got stuck. And
okay.
I couldn't lose anymore, and so I was praying for answers, and I strongly feel that I was led to Dr. Barry, and I clicked on a video of his that talked about weight loss, and then he started talking about autoimmune, and I'm like, hey, I've got lots of autoimmune.
Sure.
Maybe that would help that. And something inside of me just clicked, and I knew it was the answer I'd been looking for 15 years since I got sick. And actually a little longer than that. But it's just, I knew that was the answer, and it happened fast for me.
That's awesome.
Within a few weeks. Yeah.
I want to say the fact that you said you knew it was the answer, that's exactly how I felt about carnivore, actually. I remember talking about that. Like, I knew that this was going to work. For some reason, I knew it was going to work for me. Did I lose the 60 pounds? No, but, I think I will. I would have wanted to lose 80 pounds, right? I've lost 25, 30, and I feel great. We have different situations and different bodies. So I know you've lost a lot more weight, but I knew when I started, I'm like, this is going to work. I don't think nothing else has worked. This is going to work. And so it's interesting that you said that. I was so sure also. And it worked in so many better ways than I thought it ever would. Can I say one more thing, actually?
Oh, absolutely.
Look, if you're a mom and you have young children and you're exhausted all of the time, and all you want to do is after you're done working, just walk over to your couch and watch movies with your kids, you're not eating the right food and you're not sleeping correctly. Because within 3 days of me eating this way, I was like, oh my God, let's go to the park. Oh my God, let's go outside. Like, don't waste this time because you feel terrible, and you feel terrible because you're not eating correctly and you're not sleeping correctly. But as soon as you handle that, within days, you're going to feel great. You're going to take them to the pool. You're going to take them to the park. You're going to get outside. You're not going to couch potato. I was like couch potato queen. Look, you can't see my computer, but I work right where I'm sitting. And even in my other apartment, when I started Carnivore, where we live in a different place now, the couch was almost in the same, like 3 meters away. So, just one chair to the next, because you feel so terrible. You're done working, you push through your work, you're tired, you have this worry in your mind all the time, even while you're working. Then you just go watch Netflix or Disney Plus or whatever with your kids. And not that we don't watch movies, of course we do, but just so much more stuff. I feel like I don't think I was ever a bad mom. Actually, I was going to make a joke about that on a YouTube video, that I love coffee more than I love my kids. But not true. No, I don't think I was ever a bad mom. I think I'm a very good mom. But I think you're going to be an even better mom if you can use all of your love, and you can show all of your love, and you can use all of your energy, and you have more energy, and you can be there for your kids. Like, now, I mean, they were a bit younger, but now we're like we love the card game Uno. We're playing that frequently. We're playing board games. There's just so much more stuff you can do with your kids while they're young. I know another mom who her kids are all grown up, and she regretted because she felt exactly, I think, similar to how I felt, like just tired and exhausted, and you don't want to do anything. Like, it's enough to like get them out of bed, bring them to school, make them lunch, make them dinner. But the better thing is spending that time with your kids when they're young, and that they can remember, because I think that's so important. Anyways, I'm just saying that was a big win for me. Within like 3 days of Carnivore, I'm like, oh my God, let's go to the park. No TV today. Let's get out of the house. Let's go do some fun stuff. And of course we did that before, but not as much. And so just the idea, oh wait, let's go outside. Let's do some stuff. That was big for me. Another thing that was big for me is that I would never want to carry my daughter, because I was worried something bad was going to happen to my back. Like, my back was so inflamed. Within a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, I'm comfortably holding my daughter. She's 5, and she's got a very tiny body. She's like 35 pounds. So a year ago, she must have been like 20, 25 pounds. Another thing is just the quality of life. And I'm just bringing this up. If a mom is watching, a young mom, and you feel terrible, maybe you want to change your diet a little bit, get some junk out of your diet. It's going to help a lot, and help you be a better parent, so you can be more there for your kids. There you go.
Yeah, that's some awesome advice. I've talked to a few mothers in my time, and that seems to be a common complaint with so many. And when you see a young mother in the grocery store, and she's got 2 or 3 kids in tow, mm-hmm. and she's got a grocery cart that's filled with ice cream and chips and breakfast cereals and all this junk, and very little real food is in that cart. And I want to just walk up and shake her and say, what are you doing? But you can't.
Sure.
You can't say anything. But
no, you can't. I mean, maybe if you get into a conversation randomly and then bring that up, I don't, you that's why I want to share this story. But I just now thought I need to talk about being a mom, because it changed a lot for me, and it made it, sometimes I get cranky with my kids, but who doesn't get cranky with their kids, right?
Yeah.
I just love that. I feel like we do so much more, and I want my kids to remember that when they grow up, so they can remember those good moments. I think, look, they have a lot of toys. They don't even care with them. I think the experiences that they have with their parents are more important to remember, like, long term. And then in turn, they remember those happy moments. They're going to do that with their kids. So it's not just about eating. I know eating is so important if you eat the right food, but now I'm talking about like raising your kids. By the way, my kids are not carnivore, but I think that they eat a lot healthier. They for sure ate a lot healthier than I ate. I was a fat little kid. I was not so fat in my teens and my 20s. I was a chubby little kid. I was 100 pounds probably when I was 4 feet tall and 10 years old. I'm just guessing that's about how I remember being 100 pounds at 10 years old. So it's very chubby. Hamburgers, but the French fries, pizza, ice cream, it's different. We have our our fridge is full of carnivore foods. Grandma's house is right next door on the same property, actually. So they can just walk down the stairs and walk over to Grandma's house, and she's got the rice and she's got the fruit. We buy fruit and we put it over there so they can go get their fruit. And I live in Latin America. I live in Colombia. Rice is a big part of it. Neither me nor my husband like rice. He's Colombian. He doesn't like rice. He actually loves eating in a carnivore way. He eats way more carbohydrates than I do, but he's never had any physical issues. Like, I just realized that you never gain weight and you never lose weight. You just stay skinny. Like, where does the food go? Like, how is that possible?
I used to hate people like that.
But he doesn't also eat like standard American diet, and he eats a lot more meat since we've been doing carnivore. But he can also eat ice cream on the weekends. The kids eat ice cream. Once in a while, I've had some ice cream in the last year and a half, and it just didn't help one way or the other. It didn't help me lose weight. Maybe it gave me a runny nose. But if I keep eating that way, I know I'm just gonna put the weight back on. So I'm just saying I have enjoyed an ice cream cone. But my kids, if they want to eat KFC, they eat KFC when we go out on the weekends. But they eat a lot of very whole foods at home and a lot of meat. My son loves the soup that I make. I did a short on it on my channel. It's literally water, ground beef, and butter. Oh, he likes onions in it, so I'll add some seasoning, and that's like he loves the meatball soup. My daughter, they like cheese, obviously. My daughter tonight ate salmon for dinner. I didn't eat salmon when I was 6 years old. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I barely ate tuna fish. So,
well, my dad did a lot of fishing, so when I was growing up, I got to eat like a lot of trout and whitefish and Arctic grayling and Dolly Varden and
that reminds me of a question I'm going to ask you when we talk for my channel, but you just confirmed the answer.
So did you have any final message that you want to pass along?
Let me do two more things. So, like, it's okay to not feed your kids food. It's okay not to feed your kids food. You don't have to feed them anything out of a box. They can be totally happy on whole foods, like actual meat, cheese, eggs, butter. They're going to love it. Bacon, they're going to love it. They can eat fruit. I think I've studied enough now, Eric Westman and all these other doctors, and even Paul Saladino. I know people are like, oh, we don't like you eat fruit. If you're like metabolically healthy, which my kids are, you can eat fruit, and be okay. And so you can feed these foods to your kids. You don't have to feed them junk food. You don't have to. Kids' foods is something that is marketed. That would make me angry. If we start talking about that, that makes me angry. Like all the marketing at kids to get them addicted to these substances early.
Terrible.
Like, don't feed them. I understand some moms have to do formula for their kids. Find a good formula. Like research how to do it at home if you can't breastfeed when they're babies, but do not feed them soy. You're going to get them sick from the beginning. And all of these like store-bought powders are like soy and terrible things. So that's what pisses me off. Like marketing to children and moms, like the crappiest food you could possibly give to your kids, which are going to put them on the path of illness. So anyways, it's okay to feed your kids meat, eggs, bacon, cheese, fruits, pickles, vegetables if they'll eat them, but they don't even have to eat the vegetables. Don't feed them the vegetables if they're not going to eat it. Like, don't stress out. Like, feed them healthy foods, but stay away from the junk foods. Maybe it's a treat once in a while, but don't have it in your house and they're not going to get addicted to it. Maybe that's my message.
I do want to mention, as far as like the fruit and vine, like vegetables that grow on a vine and fruits that grow on a vine or tree. I would caution people that if you're going to eat them, get them vine ripened.
Oh, sure, sure.
There's something that a lot of people don't realize is that plants, they want to protect their seeds from being eaten prematurely. So the plants will actually ramp up their toxins to protect the seeds. And until the seeds are viable and they want the seeds to be eaten so that they can be spread around, the plants maintain that toxicity. When the seeds are ready, the plants will flush the toxins through the root system. So if the plants are ripened and they're not connected to the plant, then they can't get rid of the toxins. So
That's very
if
interesting.
if you're going to eat that kind of stuff, it's fine. I don't have a problem with it myself, but you know, make sure it's vine ripe and grow it yourself. Or you know, if you're in the States, you've got the Whole Foods chain.
The whole paycheck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're not cheap, but you know, they've got the options for vine ripened and stuff like that. Or you know, you could use a local greenhouse, or you could grow your own. So I always like to mention that to people because so many people have no idea about the toxicity because the plants are picked green.
Oh, that's very interesting. We have down there a little bit outside the window. I'm pointing outside. You can't see it, but we have a how do you say it in English? Tangerine tree. I wanted to say
Right.
mandarina. We have a tangerine tree, and my son actually found two ripe. They were orange. The rest are green. It's full of green, beautifully smelling tangerines. Maybe I will eat one when they're ripened, but he found the two of them. So he had me pick the two and he ate them. Underneath our tangerine tree is actually the cage, the little house my husband set up that houses one rabbit and one chicken, and they live together. It's my daughter's chicken and rabbit. He's like, we're gonna like put them under the tangerine tree so this thing starts producing for us because it's gonna poop and fertilize the tree underneath the tree. It's literally their cages wrapped around the tree. Anyways,
Wow.
no one comments. I know chickens and rabbits aren't supposed to live together, but they're friends. They literally sleep together.
So
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
do you have anything you want to plug? Any books? Any social media? YouTube channel? Anything like that?
I should write a book. Just check out my channel. Sorry, a fly flew in front of my face. Check out my channel. I would really appreciate that. It's the same as written here on the screen, Alia Wells. And it looks like me. My hair is a little bit more blonde on my channel. The blonde has gone away a little bit since then.
So they could just go to youtube.com/@Alia Wells with no spaces.
That's right. That's right. Simple. Simple.
Perfect.
I'm not very creative. There you go. Just my name.
Do you have a website or anything?
Not yet, but you inspired me. I saw all your social media and website. I'm like, oh, I got to do this. And I haven't written a book yet, but I probably should. It's enough to create YouTube and be a mom and work and be a wife. Oh, by the way, I'm married. I'm also a wife sometimes when I'm not working or YouTubing. I will say one more last thing. If you just try it, I think everybody should just give it a go for 30 to 90 days carnivore, like as clean as you possibly can. And like just start listing out. There might be a period at the beginning that's rough if you're addicted to food like I was, even though it wasn't rough for me, by the way. It was not rough. It was zero rough. I felt great in 3 days. Some people don't experience that. Luckily, I experienced that. It might be rough at the beginning, but just like soldier on through for a week or two, and then you're going to feel amazing and you're going to experience incredible changes in your body. But I don't believe someone needs to stay this way forever if they don't actually need it. I have to eat as close to this way as I can to make me feel the best. But I would just try it. Like, nothing's going to kill you in 30 days. You're not going to die in 30 days of eating this way, or 90 days. But if you have anything that I was like talking about, and honestly, I didn't even mention all the changes that happened, but if you have like back issues, for women, menstrual issues, sleep disorders, anxiety, worries, needless time spent on all of these things, and you're not as happy as you like to be, just start feeling the body, and with the correct foods, you might feel a little bit different. And so that's why I always urge people to at least try it, even if you don't want to stay this way forever. There you go. Those are my final words.
Awesome. Well, you've been an absolutely awesome guest. I love your story.
Aww, thank you.
And I think our viewers are going to love hearing all about you.
Oh, I hope so.
I just want to thank you very much for coming on the show and telling us your story. It's pretty inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I hope to inspire somebody.
If you feel we've earned it, please take a moment to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you make sure you don't miss any future videos coming out. Thanks for hanging out with us today. From Alia Wells and Fuzzy D, we're signing off, and we'll see you on the next video.